This program is brought to you by the Kentucky Small Business Development Center in Louisville. We provide the professional expertise, tools, and information necessary to help you make sound business decisions. Thank you to the U.S. Small Business Administration for co-sponsoring our program and to our host organization, the University of Kentucky. Contact us at 502-625-0123 to get started.
Welcome, friends. Thank you for joining us for another Toolkit Tuesday. Glad to see everybody. And as always, just to make sure that you can hear us, see us well, and we'd like you to test out the your sound and everything. So if you wouldn't mind, just down at the bottom, you'll find a toolbar. If you just hover down at the bottom, you'll see it pop up. If you don't, you'll see the chat features. Click on that. If you wouldn't mind, take a second and type in there, just say hello, that you can hear me well. Tell us your name and where you're joining from. It's always a lot of fun for me and all of us here at the SBDC to see where people are joining from. It's pretty interesting. There's Paul Bear. Hey, Paul, how are you? Good to see you again. Cynthia from Berea. Awesome. Dana. Hi, Dana. Gosh, let's see. Del Rey, California. Hey, Cassandra. Thanks for joining us. Shonda from Bowling Green. Wow. People are just joining from all over today. Lexington. Hey, Sean. How are you? It's been a while. We need to catch up. So Cleveland, Ohio. Boy, we got people from all over the country today. Right. Thanks so much for joining us today. This is great. Yeah, Kiana, good to see you. How's things in Cleveland? I was just there about 2 weeks ago. Awesome. Good town. So thanks for joining us today. You know, one of the toughest things to do in your business, I tell these people all the time that it's so easy to set up a business and get everything going, but the hardest part is getting people, customers, to show up and buy something from you. That's the real trick. And I also had a really great mentor of mine tell me once that, you know, when you need to do something big like marketing your business and you don't know where to get started because it's just such an overwhelming topic, just lower the bar and see if you can jump over that bar. And so we thought we'd bring our own expert in, Phelps, who is an expert, but he has some tricks and tips that he'll share with you that we can do some marketing of your business with it only in 30 minutes a day. So, and everybody can do that. I know we're busy, but if we can just carve out 30 minutes, what could be a lower bar than that? And I know it makes a lot of progress, a lot of sense to do that. So JC, welcome. JC is a SBDC coach as well. He is one of the best online marketers that we know, and that's why he's here with us. So welcome, JC.
Thank you all for having me. Glad to be here. And this is a fun training because usually when I train marketing, I'm training something, you know, more micro level. It's a specific platform, it's SEO, it's something to do with PR, e-com, you know, something like that. So this is a really interesting and strategic one that looks at something on the macro level that I think we can apply in a multitude of ways. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And just to verify, we are seeing the slides, right? All
yes,
good?
Yeah.
Okay, so shall we get started?
Let's do it, JC.
Do you all have I meant to ask you all this earlier. Do you have a preference for question or questions fine during the presentation? You all good with that?
Yeah, if you see them, just go ahead and answer them, or
Sure.
I'll keep an eye on things too. And you know, if you're busy, I'll jump in, or we'll wait till the end. So
that sounds good.
If you have any questions out there, just put them in the chat or the Q&A. Either one's fine. We'll be watching both. And
yeah, please. Questions are the best part of these presentations. I hope you all will take advantage of that, and I try to keep low. But thank you for doing that, Dave. That's very helpful. But yeah, I'm excited to be with you all today. Since we had an intro video, I won't talk too much about the SBDC. One thing I do just want to remind you, because I see some names that I recognize. Good to see all of you all that I know, and nice to meet everyone that I'm unfamiliar with. But we are statewide, so we're here with two of our great coaches and employees in Louisville, very special people, but we serve all 120 counties. So, I saw Mount Vernon, I'm from Russell County, not too far. No matter where you are, we have a center that has your region in the territory, all 120 counties in Kentucky. So we do offer the training and education services just like this. And Louisville does a great job. So please, tune into our state page, but also Louisville, seeing what all they're offering. They really lead the pace there. And we're able to do these things through, and at no cost, you all, through a co-sponsorship through the United States Small Business Administration. We are administered through the University of Kentucky. So if you email one of us, you'll see uky.edu. I like to point that out. Because a lot of people are a little confused by that, but we do have many other partnerships that make our program possible. This is my email address. If you ever want to reach out to me, please feel free. I'm always happy to point you in the right direction, send you some info, answer a question. I love hearing from you. It's the best part of the job. So my email is just my name, jc.phelps@uky.edu. And for my Louisville peeps on the call, I am semi-local to you. I'm in Louisville part of the time and love living there. So let's go ahead and get started. I will also put my email here just so you will have it in the chat. There it is. If you ever want to use it, please feel free. I designed this training several months back, and people have really enjoyed it. And what I have found is that oftentimes people will email me, sometimes weeks after their training, and they realize that there are several nuggets here that it takes some time to mull over or to think about, how can I do this, or how will I implement this? And then they start implementing it and they see it. My number one goal with this presentation, again, I usually train on something specific. My number one goal is to change the way that you see marketing your business, right? We often see marketing as a checkbox. And yes, it is checking a box, but I want you to think about that in terms of time, in terms of seasonality. And you can truly accomplish so much in just 30 minutes a day. I think what Dave said is very astute. If you set the bar where you can reach it, right? Reach it. And then if you can give more, if you can spend an hour a day, of course. Maybe I won't say it's double. Who knows what the difference is? It may be more, it may be less, but the more time you can put into it, the better. But I do think that we all have 30 minutes that either we or hopefully learning more from this presentation, an employee of yours that you can help, manage and supervise, that we can give. So just to kind of lay out where we're going to go, when I think of 30 minutes a day, this is what I want you to be thinking about. We're not going to be talking about necessarily Monday through Sunday. We're going to be talking about what you should be doing, but these things have different frequencies. So I actually broke this presentation out in quarterly, monthly, weekly, and the weekly tasks are things that we're doing on the day-to-day. So that kind of encompasses day by day there, and just some general best practices. I also hope, as I said, that we will have lots of questions. There's plenty of time for questions. This isn't the longest of presentations, so please welcome them. But again, I hope that this presentation will bring about strategic thought in your business. 30 minutes a day. Dave said it, I've said it. You've been emailing with Janet. She's probably thinking 30 minutes. Yeah, we can do that. That's 3.5 hours a week. I can spend that in a day scrolling TikTok. I don't know about you, but 3.5 hours, we can really, we can really use that in pretty easy ways. Someone's agreeing there, right? You're scrolling, you're like, I've spent 5 hours. Well, I could have been marketing my business. And I like to throw this out here, maybe 3.5 seems a lot. Maybe you take off Saturday and Sunday, okay, or 2 days a week. That's just 2.5. That's not so bad, right? So 3.5 the full week, 2.5 the working week. But again, the way that we market and the things we have to consider and have in place to effectively market weekly and or daily Some of these things we need to do with less frequency, but they're a little bit larger in scale. So these are the quarterly tasks, maybe the monthly task. And that's why I broke it out this way. I think if you implemented this, you would maybe be surprised. I want to start this presentation with ruining a fallacy. I've heard this so many times, and they'll say, I'm just so busy, you know, I'm running the business, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I just can't find time to invest in my marketing. And when I've had clients tell me that, with respect, I've always said, you simply cannot afford to skip your marketing. I know time is limited, but if time is limited, this is one of the things that I would prioritize and maybe do something else a little less. Because again, we need people in our businesses, on our websites, we need revenue. Marketing fosters so many things. We need to make sure that when someone is thinking of an industry, a good or service, that your brand, your business will resonate with them. If I need to, you know, go grab a seafood dinner in Louisville, who am I going to think of, right? If I'm going to a coffee shop, who am I going to think of? And we can't resonate with someone if we aren't seeing their name in our feeds and in email and on websites. We have to remind people that we're here and what we do, right? Once we have people in the business, whether it be on the website or brick and mortar, this, you know, brings about the idea of brand loyalists. They come to your coffee shop, they love it, they're going to come back, right? But that was stimulated from that first marketing touch point. That's why it's so important. And at the end of the day, as I said a few seconds ago, all of these things, what do they mean? Marketing generates revenue. Now, notice I'm not saying profit there. It's revenue. We have to think about expenses, but that is a different training, but it does generate revenue. As I said, when I first made this presentation, I almost made an annual one, but things change so much in marketing that I thought it was erroneous to say there's something we need to do once a year. I think quarterly is the right frequency because the marketing landscape changes all the time. What's a perfect example? If you are on social and you're across socials, we all know that Twitter has recently rebranded, okay? It's now called X. We also know that Meta, who owns Facebook and Instagram, has launched Threads, and Threads is their version of Twitter, essentially, right? So if we would have just, you know, planned our marketing at the start of the year and we weren't keeping up with the trends, you may be forgetting a platform, and or you may be using a platform that has in fact changed in many ways this year. So what should you be doing quarterly? In industry, it's really important to first realize that your industry itself, maybe you're in the restaurant industry, maybe you're in the tech industry, maybe you are a virtual assistant, whatever you do, things are going to be changing, right? And we have to continue to position ourselves online as experts in this industry. And so if we look at this every quarter, we can better position ourselves, right? And we can better prepare for what's coming. But we also do this through other ways. We've got to look at what our competitors are doing. I put this here. Ideally, I do this almost every day, but I can't expect you to do that out the gate. You need to be keeping a watch on who's out there, who's your direct and indirect competitors. What are they doing to leverage their marketing, and how can you do it through your own lens, one, and two, how can you do it better? At minimum, you should do that quarterly. What do I mean by that? Going to their websites, going to their social media, what type of content are they posting, right? Who are they talking to through their copy, through their words? And from that, you can tell who's their target market. What type of content are their followers responding the best to, right? You can really get in the weeds here. And so if you could just give a few minutes to this, every so often, it will better guide you in a few of the steps we're going to talk about going forward. Analyzing, again, industry trends, what's happened, and again, new tech and platforms. Twitter/X/Threads, you know, kind of confusing there, but that's a perfect example of that, right? Things change. Some people set annual budgets, and I think that very experienced businesses can maybe get away with this every so often, but I don't think that that's quite appropriate because, again, things change. every quarter for your marketing, I would love to see your business set a different quarterly marketing budget. Now, here's the caveat here. You should probably be setting this a quarter or two in advance, right? So you're not making a decision based on what's coming tomorrow for starting a new quarter. So maybe at the start of the year, we're looking at, the second quarter, with whatever frequency you can do. It's interesting, though, we have to benchmark this. Deloitte, a large consulting Big Four firm, their most recent study said that marketing on average in 2023 is going to comprise 13.6% of a company's total budget. That is a big number, right? And that's up 3.9% over the last 2 years. Digital marketing has grown a lot in the post-COVID and current COVID recovery era. That's probably the reason there. But something to note. Something else that Deloitte study said is that the prioritization of these marketing channels is shifting, right? Traditional advertising is going down, while social media and new media platforms are going up. So what do I mean? We need to set our budget. First off, we need to think about, and before I say that, here's one more graphic for you. This is interesting as well. From HubSpot, a great marketing resource, they interviewed I can't remember the sample size in this study, but it was a few thousand. But 7% said they were going to decrease their budget. I thought that interesting, but 47 said that it's going to increase and 45 said it's going to stay about the same. Now, these people could already have large budgets, but what that says to me is that a very large percentage of people are either keeping or expanding their budget. I want to say this, though. Deloitte said 13.6%, I think it was, of someone's budget was their marketing. This changes industry by industry. This is from that same study, okay? It's really interesting here. Technology, you can see 21%. Wow, okay? That's a huge percentage of, this is based on company revenue, a different metric. There were many metrics here. This is just the one I pulled, but this is, if we're basing off revenue, 21% of what they brought in, they then spent in marketing. But maybe you're in education, you're in consumer services. Look at there, it's 3 and it's 6. So I included this for a reason. It's really easy when we're thinking about how much should I be spending to Google something really fast, and you see one data point, you think, I need to be spending 13.6%. That's not often the case, okay? You very likely may spend less than that. What I would tell you is, first, again, look at some industry data like this. Look at what competitors are doing in your localized market. That's also important. And are they boosting posts? Are you seeing a lot of ads? Things of that nature. But this is my recommendation here. If you are revamping your marketing, I would rather see you spend a little bit less in the beginning, try different things, and then see what works, right? What did you get the biggest return on? Then you can scale up your marketing spend it in the correct ways, and you're going to see a higher return on investment. A lot of people get inspired about spending more on marketing or doing more social advertising. And what truly happens is they go out the gate, they spend a bunch, but they're not fully there, right? Their strategy isn't fully developed. And so while they may see a return, the return on every dollar spent is going to be less than if you upped it after you felt more comfortable. So take these numbers with caution. I think it's always better to scale up your marketing spend than scale down. And I want to ensure, as small businesses, we all have limited budgets. We need to know what we're spending has return. Every quarter, I want you to be thinking about your consumer. One of the things I see that I think is a significant error is we say, I have a target customer and this is who they are and this is how they act. Not true, okay? We can target different people in each quarter, 1, and 2, our same customers can have different incentives or different actions on a quarterly basis. I think Kentucky is one of the easiest places to see this. I will use the Louisville example. I know many of us on the call are in Louisville, but if you were to tell me that a quarter 2 customer is the same as quarter 1, 3, or 4, I would say you've got to be joking me, because what happens in quarter 2? The Kentucky Derby, right? So while we may be marketing in different quarters to our locals and our general tourists, you're marketing, if you are in Kentucky, especially if you're in Louisville, in any form of hospitality or adjacent business, you need to be planning for different types of marketing and different types of marketing messaging, because your customer has changed, okay? That's also the case, I think, everywhere in Q4, because holiday spending changes who our customer is and what they are wanting out of their businesses. So every quarter, you should be thinking about, who is my consumer? Who will be generating my revenues? Because it does change. And not enough people think about it that way. What I say here, what are the problems facing? What benefits are they looking for, right? These are the questions that come on a quarter by quarter basis. And I think quarterly is enough to do that, because we can look at, seasons and the things that happen in the seasons. Something else that people do on an annual basis, that this is personal opinion, that I think is an error, at times in marketing, is that they identify their KPIs. What's a KPI? Key performance indicator. These are the things that you're looking to do. Are you wanting to boost sales? Are you wanting to get more leads? Are you wanting to get more website traffic? Are you wanting to get more people in the door? These are the things that you can be measuring. Maybe you share these goals year round, and if so, that's okay. But just like we talked about target customer personality in the last question, these things can change on a quarter by quarter basis. And, this presentation, you're going to see how this all wraps up towards the end of the slides. But again, how do you market your business in 30 minutes a day? One day in a month, and this is going to be a quarter, we're going to be thinking about these things, right? We're going to talk about more actionable things, but one day every quarter should be spent thinking about each of these. And you could easily answer these questions in 30 minutes a day. The questions here, who are consumers? I'm saying 30 minutes a day. I can answer that question based on seasonality in about 2 minutes, right? So that leaves other minutes to accomplish the goals that are later on. Again, that's what I want for these quarterly things. Sometimes it's hard to conceptualize and saying quarterly tasks are 30 minutes a day. I get that there's a disconnect there, but you should just be allotting time for these things. That's the main point. As you're setting your goals, your key performance indicators, something I just want to point out, this is a large marketing concept, nothing revolutionary, but you should be thinking about your quarterly goals, your monthly goals, your weekly goals in a smart capacity. You need to be specific. They have to be measured. But the biggest one here, I think, is the ART. They have to be attainable. If you're setting goals that your business cannot reach, you're not doing it the right way, right? It's just what Dave said in the beginning. Set your bar where you can hit it, maybe strive for beating where you're currently at, and then raise that bar little by little, right? That's going to give you the motivation and not discourage you if you don't hit it out the gate. But they also have to be relevant and timely. Again, this works perfectly with the quarterly mindset. And again, this takes just a few minutes. I think this is the last thing I've mentioned here. This is different for everyone, but I chose quarterly for a reason. I'm having to justify because each of these things could be pivoted. So many people, SEO is my favorite form of marketing, so I will say that I have a little bias here. This is something I do daily in my business. But so many people tell me in the field, someone built their website for them, whatever it may be, and it's there. It works. They're hoping people come to it. They don't look at it. At minimum, quarterly, you need to be analyzing your website and your search engine optimization. You need to be looking at how much traffic is your website getting? And where's the traffic coming from? These are relevant questions, okay? You need to be looking at, okay, say it's Derby time again, May 2023, how much traffic did I get in May 2022? Same time last year. Did I grow or did I shrink? And if I shrunk, why? We've got to explore these things. Quarterly goals, I think why I put it here more than anything, people say, I have so many things I need to add to the website. And it gets overwhelming. What happens is that they do it for a day or two, they get overwhelmed and they stop. And that's a really scary reality for many. If you could set quarterly goals saying this quarter, I'm going to update 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as you have time in a 30-minute per day capacity to fit in 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're setting actionable goals here that actually are attainable, right? You're not giving yourself a list of 100 things. Rank them in terms of priority, but also give yourself a number you can accomplish. And again, you need to be looking at your competitors, okay? That when you're looking at your website and seeing what you're doing, you need to be looking at them. These quarterly tasks, I think, are actually the most significant. But they need to be just fit in over your month in the 30-minute time frame very easily, okay? Monthly tasks, let's dissect this a little bit more. These are the things you're doing monthly or quarterly. What can you do January through December? Every month, and I think you can do this easily, this can be one day, 30-minute task. I think you need to be setting your content calendar. Some people can operate without one, but if you are struggling with your marketing, this is one of the first things I would tell you to do. Maybe your first 30-minute task of one day. What is a content calendar? You're mapping out your content for that month, okay? And I do think this is more relevant to do on a monthly basis than a quarterly, because again, things can change. Maybe a new trend has become popular online and you want to make that form of content on your page. Well, trends happen much quicker than on the quarterly basis, right? So monthly, I think, is good here. You'll plan out your social media posts for the month, holding yourself accountable, and it solves this question. And we'll talk about this question in a future slide. People say, I just don't know what I should post. JC, I know I need to post, but what am I going to post? The answer can be planned out easily in less than 30 minutes a day by just going, these are my posts Monday through Friday, if that's when you post, and this is what it's going to be. This is a really great way to project what you're going to be doing. You can balance evergreen content. What do I mean by that? That's something you could post every day. If you're a restaurant and you always serve fried chicken, you could post fried chicken in January, December, Monday, Sunday, it doesn't matter, right? But if you're looking ahead at least 1 month at a time, you can look at the content that's timely. What do I mean by that? You're going to be looking at the calendar and you're going to say, you know, Labor Day is coming up. Back to school is coming up next month. The Derby is coming, whatever it may be. You're going to be able to plan that content and plan your marketing messaging without forgetting it, having it come upon you really quickly. And then maybe you still will make content, but if you don't have much time to plan, your marketing may not be as good, okay? Now, this does not mean social media posting. We're going to get there. Social media advertising. I think looking at this on a monthly basis is a good thing because some people look at these things, and again, this takes a few moments, you all, but they look at these things and they will start running boosted posts and then they never look at it again. At minimum, you should be looking every month. Maybe how much are you going to be spending of that quarterly budget on advertising, right? If you've ever taken one of my classes before, or if you've worked with me before, you know I have two marketing assumptions, but the one I say the most is the one here on the screen. Social media is free to be on, but it's cheap to be good at, okay? And so every month, if you can be thinking, you know, I'm spending $100 here, I'm spending $150, whatever it may be, you have to first choose what platform you're going to advertise on, and then choose between, you know, your boosted posts, your ads, depending on the platform. Doing this on a monthly basis will help you be organized and make sure you do not miss out on an important campaign. What do I mean by setting your ads? Some people run ads for, I wouldn't recommend doing it for over a month, but a couple weeks at a time. Some people do it a little more than that, but this is a Facebook ad, for example. Facebook ads. Maybe you're going to run an ad for a special you're running in August for back to school, okay? Why would setting an advertisement be important? Or why would it be advantageous? The beauty of social media advertising is this. It's the most cost-effective form of marketing, okay? And you can do extremely invasive things, almost with privacy, that can benefit you. So what do I mean by that? If I were running a Facebook ad, I would cancel out of the United States, and maybe I want to advertise in Louisville and Lexington, and maybe Somerset, Lake Cumberland, where I'm from, Russell County. So say I wanted to advertise to those regions, but I was a restaurant and I wanted to advertise to people that were interested in dining locally, in local restaurants and food, whatever it may be. If I set these parameters, and I think about this again on a monthly basis, because I may be wanting to spend money on Derby tourists in May and April, but I may be wanting to spend money on holiday shoppers in December, right? One ad doesn't fit the mass amount of posts. If I target these things right here, every penny that I spend will be sent, the advertisement will be shown on social to people that live in the areas I've told it to target, and people that have shown interest in dining locally, in local food, and local restaurants. That's a little creepy to think that the internet knows so much about us. And as an individual, I don't care for that too much. But as a business owner, I do love that, right? Because I can ensure that the money I'm spending is going to the right people. Now, social media advertising can be intimidating to some, because some people say, I don't have a huge budget, or, there are many things that can be said. This is what I will tell you. You only have to spend $1 a day. There's your threshold, right? The more you spend, you will see a positive uptick. Of course, there's a correlation there, but you can really get into social media advertising with a very small shoestring budget. The minimum is $1 a day. A different type of ad you can run on both Facebook and Instagram. This is such a cheesy screenshot, but it just is what it is. This is one that Facebook has used in some presentations, but it's what's called a page-like ad. This is one of my favorite types of ads, and I personally run these every single day in my business. I'll set them usually for 1 month at a time. Again, this is a monthly task. And this takes a minute, 2 minutes to do. It's not that long. What's a page-like ad? It's an advertisement that pops up in your feed, that where the call to action, this button right here, is like page. I usually gain 20, 30 followers a day from this myself. And the great thing about the page like ad is you customize your imagery, you customize your text, whatever you want to say. But just like this ad, I can run this ad in the feeds of people that live in the areas I want them to live, my target customers, and that have the interest of what I specified there in detailed targeting. Again, you can do this for $1 a day minimum, okay? Remember, any business expense you need to be keeping track of to work with your accountant, because that is a relevant tax deduction. I'm not a CPA, but I do know that. But the other thing to consider here is that running these advertisements just take a few minutes, right? These are things, this presentation, all of these things, most of it doesn't even take 30 minutes. Maybe a few of the tests do, right? But these are things you should be fitting in, and you can accomplish all of these things. It seems like so much, but if you had 30 minutes a day, you can do multiple of these in a single day. That's the most powerful part, right? The goal is to look at this and not be intimidated. I love data. This is not a math class. If it was, I would have told you and I would have let you know, and I believe in being honest. So we're not going to talk about math, but what is important is that sometimes people think marketing is just creative. Marketing is actually, okay, here's a question. I'm going to actually go back. Some people think you should do organic growth before paid ads. Thoughts if paid marketing is for everyone at any point in your business? That's a great question. Organic growth is always better than paid ads. In case you all aren't familiar with that terminology, they are referring to growing your account without spending money. I totally agree with that. I agree with your sentiment. I do think organic growth, or at least at minimum, organic posting is important for paid ads. You're saying any point, maybe you're a startup. If you're advertising and sending people to your page, but your content is not at the level that you want it to be at, you aren't posting regularly. If a customer won't like what they see or have the ability to convert on what they see, you absolutely should be focusing only on organic means, and you should run paid ads if and when your page is ready for that. I could not agree with that more. If your foundation is set, whether it's early on or later on in the business, I think paid advertising is just fine. And I only say that because organic growth, minus through the use of short form video, that's a whole different training, but organic growth is harder than it has ever been on social media, okay? So some people do have to rely on some sorts of paid means. Your entire marketing plan, though, should not be based off paid. You will have to find your desired equilibrium between organic marketing, non-paid marketing, and your paid marketing, right? And the more that you do it, the more that you will see what that equilibrium may look like. But that's a great question, great point. Short form answer, you must do organic marketing first, then paid ads. But to your second question, at any point in the business, this is the one thing I will say. Some people would say paid marketing comes later. I actually think there's a little bit of falsehood to that, because again, you have to have the foundation. Once they go to the page, they need to see some organic marketing. But a really relevant time to use a social media spend is at launch, right? A lot of people heighten their marketing spend when they are launching, or when they're trying to gain those first few customers. So I do think the launch phase actually can be really advantageous. Paid advertising should be consistent, more or less, right? This is how these platforms make money, so they want you to do it regularly. Something to keep in mind, right? It's not that you have to spend the exact same every month, but at the end of the day, you shouldn't plan to just do paid advertising when you launch and then do it another year later when you think that you need it or you need a little push. Some regularity is important, and data shows that there's actually benefit to doing that your organic growth in tandem will grow with your paid growth. It's really interesting. The data there is quite fascinating. Great question, and I thank you for asking that. And I hope that helped. Yeah, you're so welcome. I love it. Congratulations. Analyzing analytics, again, you could do this every day, but I beg you all to do this one time a month. And this really doesn't take this is less than a 30-minute task even. There are so many people, and Dana, I'll even say this with you, just launching, you may look at this even more, but when you first launch, sometimes your data isn't the most representative because you don't have the correct amount of, posts or sample size to draw data from. But all this to say, it's so common for people to post on social media, to post on their websites, and then they don't really analyze how it did. Analytics are so beautiful. And yes, I love math, so I'm being biased there, but they're beautiful because they have so many consumer insights, and they're provided to us for free, right? So every month, I beg you, please look at your analytics on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever it be. Who is actually seeing your content, right? Where are they from? And here's the second part here. I could say people in Louisville are seeing my content, and they're females, from a certain age. The data tells us this. You could say, okay, that sounds great. Or you could say, my target market, I'm really wanting to hit more of the Lexington market. What's a strategy you can take there that you're doing every month? You could look at paid advertising in the Lexington market, right? Maybe you don't need to spend it in Louisville because they're who are already seeing your content, right? There's so much strategy here. Every month you need to be looking at, again, your performance month over month. Are you growing? Is your traffic decreasing? We never want it to decrease, although there are some natural seasonal ebbs and flows. Quarter over quarter, last quarter, how did you do? How are you doing this quarter? How did you do last year? How are you doing this year? These are the things. So again, where could you scale? You're not reaching the right people here. You're not reaching people in this city. Who are you not reaching that you need to? And a really great question to ask is, what are you not seeing in your data? That's the low-hanging fruit. What's the easiest point of growth? And sometimes that's easiest to answer through geography, right? Demographic data is a huge part of analytics, and it's so important. And looking at it month by month, gives it time to actually regulate. If you look at it day by day, you're not going to see big changes. So while you should look maybe how your individual posts are doing every day, looking at it every month from an account perspective, I think is great. Here's a screenshot of some of my own analytics on my page from Facebook. And you can see here that women are much greater than men. That's fine. I would maybe assume that with what I do. But I'm pretty consistent between 25 and 54-year-olds. Again, you could look at data like this and say, okay, great, I'm hitting that. But I love older demographics and what I do, because statistically shown, people that are, as you age, you have more discretionary income, right? So I could look at this and say, I'm really not hitting the 55 to 64-year-olds. Maybe that's where I realize is my point of growth. So what do I do with this? I start creating organic content that talks to these people. I want to make sure that I'm talking to who I'm trying to hit. And along with my organic content, I could do paid advertising. There are two strategies there. We're at monthly, right? Now we're going to weekly. And again, these things are on the day-to-day level. Each of the tasks in quarterly and in the monthly, we're fitting into single days, right? All of this, we're looking 30 minutes a day, but there's not a single task here that I've already talked about, minus website updates, maybe I would say, that truly take much longer than that 30-minute time frame. But what should you be doing with the highest regularity? This is my opinion. I hear again all the time, they say, JC, I want to post. I know I need to post. What on earth am I going to post? They say, I don't have good content. Either you or someone on your team in 30 minutes could easily batch shoot. And what I mean by batch shooting in batches, multiple pieces of content. If you're shooting your content every single day, that's not always efficient, right? Some people may do this on a monthly basis, but at minimum, if you could do it weekly, I think that's great. If you're a restaurant and you have specials that week, or if you're going to promote 5 dishes, have your chef make the 5 dishes, go ahead and shoot them. That will not take 30 minutes. Take your photos, and then you're already going to have all the photos that you want to use for that week, right? And so if you have a crazy day on Tuesday and you think, I just really couldn't get to my marketing, you already have it shot, right? That's the benefit of batch shooting. At least once a week, I think this is great. It's a productivity technique. It will make you more productive. And apart from this, with batch shooting, if you so chose, you could already go ahead and write your captions. That would make it even easier, right? But if you have a repertoire, whether it be you're shooting Monday through Friday, or if you're taking a lot of photos one week, say you batch shoot for 30 minutes a day, 3 times in a week, you will have a library of photos from which you can choose from and post. And you'll never be able to say to yourself in good conscience self, I had no time to post today, because a lot of the work, the hard work, has already been done. So on the days that you can, maybe you do this on the weekend, because during the week it's too busy. Everyone's schedule is different. But this 30 minutes is maybe the most valuable you could be spending, because it will keep you regular. What do I mean by keeping you regular? You have to be posting to social, okay? Social media is necessary. You can post either natively. What do I mean by that? You open the Facebook app and you post on Facebook, or some people choose to use schedulers. If you use a scheduler, use part of your 30 minutes a day to do that. And a question I get all the time is this: should you post every day? How much should I post? How consistent should I be? Minimums, maximums. This is my answer to you. It depends. Don't you love that answer? But here's the real answer. In an ideal world, if you have something profound to post every single day, sure. But most of us do not have, most businesses do not have content that is impactful. What do I mean by impactful? It either grows people's recognition of your brand, it induces sales, it gets people in the door, right? Some of us don't have 7, different things that we can say every day for, filling the week, 52 weeks a year. So a lot of businesses should not be posting every day. If you're posting just to post and there's no value in it, that's irrelevant, right? And you're risking your followers becoming uninterested in what you do. So what's more important than posting every day is just being consistent, right? Minimum, I think everyone should post 1 time a week. Ideally, you post more than 1 time a week. Some data says 2, some says 3, some says 4. But this is my recommendation to every single client here at the SBDC. And it's that exact logic. Dave really hit the nail on the head when he was talking about setting the bar low and raising it. Consistency is key. If you are posting consistently and you say 1 time a week, and you can do that for a month or 2 and you feel comfortable, move it up to 2, then move it up to 3. What people do incorrectly is they'll say, I'm going to post Monday through Friday. Well, they may keep that up for 2 weeks and then they get overwhelmed, okay? It's always better to scale up than scale down. And let me tell you the logic behind this on social. This is going down a rabbit hole, but usually when I give this example, people really have an aha moment. Consistency is rewarded. And what do I mean by that? These platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they want you to be consistent. Why? Because it's user experience. If I go to Facebook and I'm looking for the Russell Springs Bakery, where I live in Southern Kentucky, that doesn't exist. It's a fake business. But the Russell Springs Bakery was posting Monday through Friday their special, and I knew I wanted to go. I'm going on Facebook knowing that I receive value by going to their page, right? Facebook values that because I'm having a positive Facebook experience. Russell Springs Bakery decides I'm going to stop posting, or something comes up, they get busy and they go silent. While you may just think that reflects, just them, it's their page, they can pick it up. Facebook notices that, right? Because yes, I'm not getting the information from the Russell Springs Bakery that I once was, but what Facebook realizes, what Instagram realizes, is I'm now going on their app and I'm no longer getting the information that I once desired. So that's a negative user experience for them. So what do? They reward people that are consistent and post the same amount of times, more or less per week. Not that there can't be a little variability. And they hurt those that are inconsistent. What do I mean by that? In the long run, and the platforms will never say this, but there are many data sets and studies that make this argument, and I've seen it myself. In the long run, data shows that if you are consistent, your organic reach, the reach of your posts that you're not paying for, will increase. How they hurt you if you are not consistent, this is all about the algorithm, if you've heard that word. How they will hurt you is that your organic reach will be less, okay? And so to get out of that hole, you may have to spend money to get it back up. So posting to social media, you can think of this in a weekly capacity, and then we'll divide that out by day. If you have batch shot your content, this should just take a matter of minutes. I see a question here. Do I recommend a specific scheduler? Most apps have their own native schedulers. There are some big ones that have, noted partnerships, like Pinterest with Tailwind, or Facebook and Instagram with, oh my gosh, the names are leaving me. It's like Planoly. There are Hootsuite, there are several. If you have one of those big name ones and you're super in love with it, that's fine, okay? Here's what I would recommend though. If you are comfortable with the native scheduler, what do I mean by that? So for Facebook and Instagram, that would be Business Suite. If you are comfortable with that, use theirs, because these platforms are selfish. They want you to use their platform, right? Because it increases the amount of time you're spending on their app, which guess what? They then sell to their advertisers saying, people are spending this many hours a day on Facebook, right? So they secretly, they prefer their own. So for a specific scheduler, I like Business Suite for Facebook and Instagram myself. But if you're going to use an off-brand one or a private one, if you will, please use one of the big ones. And if you have a specific one in mind, please feel free to email me and I'm happy to let you know, because they do have partnerships and I can send you some info on that. But if you can use the native scheduler, I'm all for that. Is that why your business page, great question, thank you. Business page, some posts have hundreds of views, some have 0. Most likely, yeah, right? Because it doesn't make sense that there should be that much variability, especially in a new business. I think you said it was new. So chances are that has something to do with consistency, right? And sometimes they penalize you early out the gate. Sometimes you'll see that in the long run, but not that some posts don't get, more views than others. If the post that has hundreds got a lot of reactions, for example, people were liking and commenting it, you'll see it increase, right? But if you're getting the same, there's nothing extraordinary between the two posts, you might be getting a consistency, error there. And again, which would take it down. Do I offer a training? That's a great question. Do I offer a training like this on Facebook meta management? So I do have a Facebook specific training. Maybe we'll talk to Dave and Janet about me offering that again soon for y'all. And while I do talk about meta management in there, that's a great idea. I may make one here for the SBDC just on the management of the business suite and meta. So I do have a training I do pretty often on Facebook, but I may even do a separate one on management. I think that could be a full training. So yes, and great suggestion, both. Canva scheduler, Canva is a widely accepted one, right? So if you're using Canva and you want to use that to schedule, many platforms recognize that that's a very large and reputable brand. So while the SBDC, we don't particularly endorse any product, whether it be large or small, the facts are Canva is a big one. So if you're using Canva, don't worry about that. You've been working on it and your brain hurts. I will say you're in the majority there, not the minority. So please give yourself a little grace. These are great questions. Thank you. Again, weekly tasks that we can do in less than 30 minutes. Something important here is that a lot of people forget about email marketing, right? I don't want you to email me every day. I don't know how you all feel about that, but some people go overboard. But if you have an email list, you need to be utilizing it, right? So I think a great email cadence to start is once a week. Maybe it's not that much if you truly have nothing to say, but remember, when you email, we can't sell all the time, right? We have to provide value. Maybe you're providing a discount or whatever it may be. It can't just be, please buy this, right? We've got to make sure that people have value so they don't unsubscribe. But every week, think about what type of email do you want to be sending to your clients, right? And something you can be thinking about maybe in your quarterly website updates is, how are we going to get these emails, right? Is there a website form that pops up when people are on your website? Are people signing up for things in store and you're entering them? Maybe that's one of your 30-minute tasks. Email should always have a creative hook. And again, we want to provide value here. We can't always sell. Maybe you don't send one every week, but again, weekly is a good cadence, but I would watch going too much more than that. For a food business, here's a question. Do I think it's better to advertise on Yelp or Google? That's really interesting. I'm not going to make comment on, necessarily a certain business model saying you should only do this or you should only do that. But this is what I will say. Social media advertising, the social platforms, is extremely cost effective in comparison to the two that you mentioned and others that are similar. Google, for example, you would be talking about PPC marketing there, pay-per-click. That can really get expensive. SEM, search engine marketing. Search engine optimization is organic. Search engine marketing is paid. So I would be be careful if you have a small budget there. It would probably be better used on social. That said, you should be on both of those platforms. You need a Yelp, you need a Google My Business. You need to be updating these just like other social accounts, certainly. But if you have a limited advertising spend, I think that is maybe better used on social. You're welcome. Thank you. And you created your whole website on Canva. I have had many clients do that, and I think they're beautiful. Now, this is chaotic. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, this is chaotic. Can you tell I'm not a graphic designer? I'm a digital marketer, but I'm not a designer. Those are not the same things. But this is what it may look like, right? We've talked about quarterly tasks. We've talked about monthly tasks. We've talked about weekly tasks that evolve into daily. If you think about your marketing, this is what happens. This is overwhelming. You're looking at this and saying, yikes, there's so much here. If you think about everything we've talked about in this presentation, you're going to think, yikes, I'm overwhelmed. I'm not going to do that. I don't have time for that. The goal of this is to think about this day by day. You can accomplish each of these tasks in 30 minutes easily. Where you need to fit it is you need to think about your month just like a content calendar. You need to think about it this way. I'm going to analyze competition and look at what they're doing on Monday the 2nd. On Tuesday the 3rd, I'm batch shooting, and that content will be posted on the 9th, 11th, and 13th, okay? Things like that, right? If we take it day by day, we don't get overwhelmed. But if you have a list of tasks that we need to accomplish on a quarterly basis, a weekly basis, and excuse me, I skipped monthly, but the weekly again going into daily, we can conceptualize this, right? And instead of this huge burden, it becomes a piece by piece. And in fact, I think 30 minutes a day, if you did that every single day, you could accomplish much more than what was included in just this presentation. But it's a good place to start. You can always scale up, okay? Some last best practices tips, few things to keep in mind. The best thing I can tell you is that some people, once we get in our store, once we get in our day-to-day lives, maybe you're working 2 jobs, you're starting a business, plus you have a 9 to 5. If you can start your day with your 30 minutes of marketing, you will thank yourself. Because as the day goes on and things come up, that's when we determine, I don't have 30 minutes to give. Remember, we can't afford not to market our businesses, right? But if you do it in the beginning, that's before all the distractions come, you will accomplish it with higher frequency. Marketing at the end of the day, though, is about organization. And again, as you're doing it, you can organize it by frequency, quarterly, monthly, weekly. You can think about it in urgency. If you know that you don't have any photos to post for your social media content, your next day task for 30 minutes should be to batch shoot, right? It should be to get your content ready, and you can arrange your schedule accordingly. But once you've accomplished that, realize you've accomplished your task for the day. And the other things that are less urgent, you have other things to do, you can accomplish tomorrow. If you decide that there's more time in the day, sure, keep going, but something to keep in mind. Marketing requires an investment, though, in time and in money. Social media, I hit on this before, in this grand scheme of marketing, is the most cost-effective. It's not the only type of marketing, but it is very much the most cost-effective. And at the end of the day, in setting your schedule for 30 minutes a day, in terms of social media marketing posts, in terms of everything to do with marketing, if there is one thing that I think is key, it's being consistent. Because excellency in quality, getting better content online, that comes with experience. But the one thing you can focus on now, no matter where you are in terms of skill set, is being consistent. And you will be rewarded. Consistency will form a habit within you, 1, but 2, platforms also reward that. There's nothing more important. And the people that follow you will thank you for that. Again, we're all here with the Kentucky SBDC. If you are curious more about our organization, this is our website, Kentucky SBDC. We offer many trainings. You can look at those from the top bar there, drop down trainings. If you have an idea, I'm always open to ideas. Please shoot me a message and I may just create one that I think people would have value from. But again, if you want to work one-on-one with a business coach on things, that's our primary service, and all of these are provided at no cost to you. So you can find out more information there on the site. We've had some amazing questions. I see a Q&A. I just missed that. Sorry. Later.com. Later.com is a big one. So a lot of people use Later. I do recommend Later personally. Again, that's not an endorsement, but similar to Canva, similar to Hootsuite, similar to all of these things, Later is a big one. So if you're not going to use a native scheduler, that is very reputable. And I'm so sorry, I was looking at the chat. I wasn't looking at Q&A. So thank you for sending that. And sorry, I missed you there for a few seconds. Thank you all. Nice words. I appreciate you. We're at the top of the hour. I want to be respectful of your time. If you need to log out, totally. But last thing, my last call here. Every task is actionable. Most tasks that we sit and we stress about, we can accomplish in 5 to 10 minutes. If we just set a schedule and say, I am going to do this task today or tomorrow or next Wednesday, you'll get it done. That's the best thing you can do. You have to be organized. Thank you all for the kind words. But so if you need to leave, that's great. Do you see some questions coming in? Dave's back in the party. We're back in the room with the bands together. Let's see here. Let's see, Dave. I think I missed a question.
Yeah, it's that one on, do you think
TikTok.
TikTok, yeah.
Do you think TikTok is better for a food business or Facebook or Instagram? Which one should you invest in first? What a great question, because this is the thing, right? Ideally, there are multiple platforms that we can invest our time in, but it can be overwhelming, right? This is my recommendation. Eventually, you're probably going to invest in all of those. Even if you aren't going to use one, what I would tell you to do now, claim your business name on all of them. There's nothing worse than saying, I'm not going to TikTok right now, but I might TikTok, 6 months from now. What if someone takes your username? That's a branding faux pas, right? So go ahead and claim the name on all the platforms, set up the accounts, and you can decide to use them as appropriate. Which do I think is better? I'm going to give you my famous answer again. It depends, okay? TikTok is the fastest growing platform right now. Organic growth on TikTok is better than ever. But this is what I would say. TikTok has huge potential for brand recognition, brand cognizance, but also for e-commerce businesses, for businesses that you can shop from anywhere. I'm not saying TikTok does not work for local businesses. It definitely does. But some of the huge organic growth, huge organic views that some people experience on TikTok, again, some of these people may not be in your target market. I think it's easier to target locally on Facebook and Instagram. It's accomplishable on TikTok, but if you have a niche audience, if you're not e-com, I would maybe think about the Meta suite first. But here's what I would tell you. As you're batch shooting, efficiency hack. Maybe you're doing short form video, which is the most popular type of content right now. If you shoot a short form video, like a reel or a TikTok, something like that, you could shoot it one time and it could go on your Facebook. You could upload that as an Instagram reel and it can be uploaded as a TikTok, right? So you may customize it just a little with what you're saying in your text, but try not to think of these things as so separate. Sometimes we have to create content platform by platform, but efficiency hack, 30 minutes a day, you may be shooting one video, but it could be 3 posts for you. So also keep that in mind. But localization, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, general brand recognition, and e-commerce, TikTok. That's just my personal view and what data is showing. Great question. I love it. These have been good. Thank you. Was this recorded?
Yeah, so we'll send the recording out to everyone here probably tomorrow sometime, and your slides, if you send them to us there at JC, we'll shoot those out.
Yeah, I'll shoot them to you. Happy to. Own a small cleaning business in Louisville. It's very hard for me to focus on the market and segment my audience. Also, Facebook limit access to Facebook page. So dealing, I exhaust, I breathe, because that's a tough one. Okay. If you, and you can either send this to everyone, or if you want to send it direct, there are many things that can limit your access to a Facebook page. To fully answer this question, I need to know what you're limited to, right? Because limitations can change little by little. That's something that a lot of people deal with. Sometimes you can file a, the word is failing me. You can file something with Facebook to have that lifted, right? But if it's limiting your access, like you can't post, sometimes people create, a second page. If you can recover the original page, again, it already has your name, I recommend recovering that original. But worst case scenario, you can always, take that one. The first part of your question, though, you own a small cleaning business. It's very hard for you to focus on who to market and segment your audience. Very valid question, right? This is what I will tell you. You've got the first part right. You're wanting to target and segment. I'm not saying you shouldn't be very intentional about this, but like I said earlier in one thing, you got to give yourself a little grace, right? I think a huge error that people have in marketing is they start their business, they start a cleaning business, and they say, okay, this is my target audience, and they roll with that. They never reevaluate it. Sometimes we get it wrong, right? So what are some ways you can test this? Maybe you're marketing or you're creating content, to people in certain zip codes or certain parts of Louisville, or maybe you're assuming something about their income if they're using cleaning. If that is not clicking, pivot. Try a different type of marketing. That's the beautiful part about being in the interim, and talk to someone else. And then look at the analytics. Where are you getting bookings from? Which posts are getting the most interactions and views? And when you determine that, you may decide that, hey, my target market I thought was, 50 plus, but, these college kids are booking me because they don't want to clean their townhouse, or, these people that are in their late 20s, these older millennials are who are booking me. So that you're thinking about it, which is what's important. But sometimes trying content and talking to these different people, we have to find out who our audience is. And there's nothing wrong with not knowing in the beginning. That's more common than you would think. So give yourself some grace, try some different targets, and see what is the stickiest and who you get the bookings from, and target them. But with cleaning, you can take a certain idea there. Typically, there's a level of discretionary income. It might be easiest to first start targeting. You're in a city, Louisville's bigger. You may want to look at more specific marketing. Something about Facebook ads, an example, is that you can even segment by zip code. So you may decide you want to target downtown businesses or central Louisville businesses. I live in central Louisville, or you're targeting on the East End, whatever it may be. So you can actually even go that local, which can be important. I appreciate you. Oh, they're so nice. You're saying so many nice things. Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any Q&A.
That's it. Yeah.
If you think of something, again, if you're like me, things will pop in your head at the most random time, most random hour. So it's here, top of mind. This is my email. We'll send the slides out. I'll send these to Dave and Janet. You'll get a recording, but if you think of something else, always feel free to email me. I truly love hearing from you. I mean that. And I want to help you. So please feel free. Thank you, Cynthia. Cynthia is a very special person. Good to see you, love, all the way from Berea. But please feel free to email me, and be more than happy to help you always. And I will answer you within 24 hours, and much often always sooner, but I always answer within a day. I will say, though, If you have a question, maybe this week, you might want to get it in these first few days. I will still be checking email, but I do have some vacation time at the end of this week and next week. So I'll be checking with some frequency, but if you think of something, go ahead and send it. That would be my short-term rec for you. We've gone over, Dave. I said this was a short presentation. I stopped talking. It's already 6. What the heck? Marketing's too fun.
Yeah, it is fun. Yeah, this has been great, JC. This is awesome. I mean, this was, was a lot of stuff in a short period of time, and it was very helpful. I learned a lot myself.
I love it. Thank you all. And
the big takeaway, JC, is that a great marketing plan is little things repeated consistently over a long period of time. So keep that in mind.
Absolutely. And you can segment it by the minute. It doesn't, it's so overwhelming, but remember, we're not climbing the mountain all in one day. 30 minutes a day, you will chuck your way up there. But the worst thing you can do is intimidate yourself by piling so much on in the beginning, day by day. That's marketing. It's day by day.
So, JC, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And let's get back together and do this again on the meta training that you had mentioned. I think it'd be awesome.
I would love it. Yeah, it's on. Thank you all for being here.
Janet, thanks for everything.
Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Y'all too. Bye-bye.
See you next time.
See you next time.